Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Me Time, starring Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg. Um, it's about a guy who he's kind of a house husband who needs to let go, and his buddy Mark Wahlberg is a crazy guy, so he decides to spend a week or a weekend with him and do a bunch of crazy guy things. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 9, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So Kevin Hart, this is a good role for him because he is a dad and he's a comedian. So he's taking care of the kids. His wife wants him to go have fun because she works, and then one week she wants to take the kids somewhere and just spend more time with the kids because she's the one who's working all the time. Totally makes sense. And this is from the director of I Love You Man and Along Came Polly. I didn't see Along Came Polly. I mean, some of the scenes look good. I did see I Love You Man. That was all right. So good comedic director. This is a comedic movie. Ben Foster is in it as his friend, his other friend, not his wild friend. I think that's Ben Foster, or is it the guy? I keep getting confused with Ben Foster. Maybe that's the other guy. Oh man, some of these actors look too similar. Anyhow, so Kevin Hart gets invited to. First, he goes and does a bunch of stuff by himself. He goes to an underground barbecue and throws up. But anyhow, he gets invited to his old buddy's birthday party. Mark Wahlberg hasn't seen in years, so he says, "Oh, I'll go there." But the guy's crazy. And he shows up, and the guy, they're swimming naked, and he's celebrating his 44th birthday. I guess he's rich, so he basically throws his own Burning Man out in the middle of the desert, and then part of it is you have to poop in buckets. Gross. So while he's pooping in a bucket, he ends up befriending a cougar cub, and then the cougar comes and attacks him, and all sorts of crazy, wacky things happen. So there's a scene where I guess he wrecks his car, and he just has one of these friends that does crazy things. Everybody has a friend like that. So this is his crazy friend, and so he ends up drinking and doing crazy stuff. And here she is visiting, I assume her dad with the kids, having a normal time and checking in with him. Is that what's his face? I can't think of the actor's name. He was on Good Times. It looks like him. Anyhow, here they are doing the wingman thing, and he falls off the cliff. And first he doesn't want to do it, but then he falls off the cliff, and then he goes. So it's called Me Time. It's on Netflix, August 26th. It looks pretty good. It doesn't look bad. It looks funny. Mark Wahlberg is sufficiently weird. And Kevin Hart seems to be doing the straight man thing pretty good. Pretty good. Now, he's the comedian, which is the interesting part. But Mark Wahlberg has done some pretty good movies comedically. I mean, there's the one with Will Ferrell where they play the cops. He's pretty good in that. But, I mean, this seems to work really well for Kevin. This is like a good role for him because... like they cast him as a cop and a secret agent, all these things. I just don't really buy it with Kevin Hart. He's too much of a normal guy. This fits him like to a T. This I totally buy. That he's a house husband and he just wants to be orderly. And the same thing with Mark Wahlberg. Like I totally believe him as the weirdo friend who has too much money and time and has elaborate parties for himself. I mean, I totally buy that for him. Although Mark Wahlberg, he's a pretty good actor too, so a decent actor, I'll say. Definitely one of the action stars who can kind of act, So I think this is a good role for both of them. They seem to be hitting all the right notes. So the first act probably going to be, setting up Kevin Hart as this sort of stick in the mud, and he's always with the kids doing kids things and making their lunches and doing all that kind of stuff. And the wife's like, I'm a little worried about you because you're just so too much with the kids. You got to get out once in a while, have some fun. And he's just like, oh, no. He's like turning into an old man before his time kind of thing. There's a scene where he goes golfing with a bunch of old people that indicates that. At some point, he gets invited to Mark Wahlberg's thing, and he's just like, I haven't seen this guy in years. I don't want to go to that. But then this opportunity comes where the wife wants to take the kids to spring break to see her dad. And so she's going to take the week off and take the kids because she doesn't get to spend time with them. Again, totally makes sense. Kevin either doesn't want to go or can't go or whatever. So maybe he doesn't get along with the dad. That's a typical thing. So now he's got a week by himself, and she's trying to encourage him. Oh, why don't you go to your friend's thing and have a good time? And first he reluctantly agrees to go because he tries to do some stuff by himself. He plays golf with the old people. That's not so good. He goes to barbecue and throws up. So eventually he decides, okay, yeah, let me go see Mark Wahlberg. So the second act is him arriving, and his friend is, of course, nutty, and he doesn't know about this, but he ends up getting dragged onto this crazy Burning Man thing that he threw for himself, and it just gets wilder and wilder as the movie progresses until the end of it is, that's a good question, because there's no indication of how this ends, but I think it has something to do with their friendship, and maybe Kevin takes it a little too far. It doesn't seem like it's the typical thing would be that Mark Wahlberg is actually very unhappy, and then Kevin says, like Mark Wahlberg saying, I envy you, you have a family, I have nothing, I just throw these parties and it's meaningless and blah blah blah. I think there might be a little of that, but it doesn't seem like it's going to end that way. And then at the end, he comes home and he's more relaxed and he's a little more open, a little crazier now, but not too crazy. And I don't know, and then probably an indication of the next time we're going to see Mark Wahlberg. The thing I like about these movies, and the thing that's great about them, is you can totally franchise these, right? Like, nobody's going to die in this movie. There's not going to be a big giant villain. It's just going to be crazy situations. And they look pretty amusing. I mean, Kevin Hart's taking a crap in the desert in a bucket, which is already funny enough. And then he sees this cute little kitty, but it's really a baby cougar cub that he shouldn't be picking up. And then he picks it up, he's petting it, and then he sees the mama cougar, puts it together, and then throws the little cougar away, and you're so I think I would watch this. It's on Netflix, so I very well may. Let's see what the synopsis, the write-up is. When a stay-at-home dad finds himself with some me time for the first time in years, with his wife and kids away, he reconnects with his former best friend for a wild weekend that nearly upends his life. Yeah. So, it's Regina Hall as the wife. Oh, is that Regina Hall? I guess it is. So yeah. Cool. I like these kinds of movies because they're fun. Nobody gets hurt. Not Ben Foster. This is the guy I confused with Ben Foster. Is this the guy on the Orville? I think it might be. I have to check the IMDb later. And that's about it. Yeah, Me Time. It's a good name. Here's the baby cougar. And Kevin Hart, he's playing it honk for a Huck. I guess his name's Huck. That's funny. See, this is also a little self-deprecating on Mark Wahlberg's part. This totally fits him, he's got pictures of himself. He's naked because he's like in great shape, that kind of thing. So, we need more movies like this. This is a fun, harmless movie. You can forget your troubles, watch Kevin Hart make an idiot out of himself. And it's a good setup, too, because obviously he's a little uptight, being stuck at being the house husband or whatever. He's cleaning things, and you get in that mode, and now it's like been too long. He's got to get out of that mode a little bit, or else he's going to go crazy because he'll get too fastidious. Look, Mark Wahlberg, you got to play it big in a comedy. I try to tell people, you got to play big. Especially in a comedy like this. You're not going to have shootouts and explosions and stuff, so it's the reactions that you want. You want big reactions. And you want to have the setup is very important. The setup's good on this because Kevin is going to be mild mannered house husband who likes his life orderly, and then Wahlberg's going to be the crazy guy who he doesn't have a family and he just has too much money and too much time and he does all these crazy things. So yeah, I could totally see this, and I could totally see them doing a sequel. Yeah, it's a year later. Oh, it's birthday again or whatever. But then you throw something else in the mix. Maybe the next time you do, Mark Wahlberg gets married or something, and Kevin Hart's got to talk him out of the marriage, or it's the opposite. Like Wahlberg gets married and becomes 10 times worse the house husband that Kevin Hart was, and it totally crushes his spirit. And then it's up to Kevin Hart to show him that wild time to make him crazy again. That could be a good sequel. I like that pitch. Yeah. So I think I'll be seeing this. I'm gonna give it an upvote. Yeah, I know. I don't do that often. It looks good. All right, that's it from me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. We got 2 other videos we never put on YouTube because, And do some sort of short later. We'll see you